Hey guys, you're watching or listening to the Shift Training Podcast,
where we talk about physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health and just overall well-being.
And today we're going to be talking about how personal responsibility is actually the key to more happiness. So let's talk about it.
Let's dive into it.
Okay, Vaughn. So what do you know about personal responsibility? What's your thing with personal responsibility? Tell me something.
Personal responsibility. I believe for me, personal responsibility is synonymous to the word discipline. I believe if you don't have discipline in your life, there will be more chaos and much difficult time for your life.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely think that a lack of discipline can lead to lots of self-induced or self-inflicted suffering. Part of the self-inflicted suffering is part of what stories you tell yourself and what loops you're playing over and over and over again, what patterns you're feeding into. But that's where sometimes the discipline comes in. You can even be being disciplined by adhering to cycles that don't serve you. So you can be very disciplined at making sure that you suffer, which is not what we want to do, right? So I think part of that is being mindful. If you were to say, your lack of discipline is the reason why you continue to execute habits or loops that don't serve you, and these even cause you suffering, then what does that mean? I think there's two responses here. It means, one, no, it's not my fault. Don't you dare say that, defensive, reactive kind of response. Or two, if that's true, then I, personal responsibility, need to do something about it. I have the ability and opportunity to change that.
Yeah, I think of it as we talked about earlier, how we do our intro. Personal responsibility is responsible with your physical, mental, emotional, and physical health. For example, if you are not taking care of your physical health, and as we all know, working out, watching what you eat is hard, but that exercise that you do for an hour could be arduous, could be really hard at the moment, but there will be lots of benefits in the future. So what I'm trying to say is that if you are responsible with all of those things, the hard things in life, then in the future, you'll get those benefits, which leads to happiness.
Right, absolutely. Think about, I think one of the key things that it seems to be like underlying theme or thought in terms of like happiness and the chasing or pursuit of happiness, at least in this country, which, by the way, for the record, we stand more on the fulfillment and meaning side, being of greater importance than happiness. And you can find happiness in anything that happens as you move through the journey, just saying. But since we're going to talk about happiness, there's this underlying notion of happiness means I can do whatever I want, however I want, whenever I want. That's an interesting notion, because even being able to do that requires you to take responsibility or to choose. See, to me, responsibility equals ownership. You want to own your life, right?
Yeah.
So you'll be more happy, right? But that means you have to be responsible.
That's right. Yeah, I think you also need to understand you can't have that blaming mentality or attitude towards other people, because when you start having that blaming mentality, then you take away your power. You don't have that agency in your life.
Yeah, if everyone else is in control of your life, then doesn't that leave you powerless, right? So there's a difference between being a victim or victimhood or victim mindset and, the blaming thing. We talk about Jocko, we talk about a lot of the more disciplined and rigid or tough senseis. We talk about all of the stuff. So I think one of the things that I heard them say, and I totally agree with this, it took me a while to really understand it. So I'm consistently working on how much I complain. Complaints are excuses. If you're complaining and blaming and all those are excuses for what is the shortcoming, what's not happening, the moment you go, what's not happening, what could be happening, and then you go, well, what could I do about it? The moment you decide, I'm going to take some responsibility, I'm going to take some ownership, I'm going to try to execute, I'm going to do something, I'm going to be proactive versus reactive. I'm going to go on offense instead of defense. I'm going to manifest something versus like wait and hope it happens.
Yeah. I imagine as if it's like you're the director and the actor on your own story. You know, you're the captain of your own ship.
That's right.
And you are responsible with your action, behavior, situation, circumstances. Once you put that to other people, then you know you don't have no control anymore.
Right. Not that stuff doesn't happen, right? Traffic happens. Yeah. But if you live in LA, you know traffic always happens. Mm-hmm. So you should just plan for traffic to always happen. Like, you know you'll eventually need food to keep living. So why don't you just go, I know I'm going to deal with traffic, so I'll just adjust and plan to be in traffic. And if something happens and you don't, look at that. You are more than ready. You are extremely prepared. You got extra time on your hands. What a great benefit. No real additional cost.
Yeah, and I think another topic about responsibility is embracing your obstacles, your conflicts, and stop avoiding them.
Ooh.
Once you start tackling them, you'll be relieved that you've overcome those. And if you keep putting them on the side, then you're just gonna come back to those obstacles another time or another day.
Can we talk about that for a second? Mm-hmm. So Vaughn brings up a very good point about how avoiding some of the challenges, not facing them, that is they're just gonna come back later, and you'll still have to deal with it, or they'll grow and then it'll be a bigger monster to slay. But I think that's a good point when we're talking about personal responsibility being key to happiness. How do we feel when we face those things, right? Yeah. Think about any time you stepped into a challenge or something you were afraid of, and then it played out, and after it played out, once it was done, were you more or less happy, more or less satisfied with yourself?
Definitely more satisfied and more happier.
Right. And I think that's a key example where personal responsibility is the key to more happiness. Mm-hmm. It's when we try to avoid taking responsibility, we don't want to do something, we're resisting it, or want to put it on somebody else, want someone else to do it. Why? That's a challenge. That challenge presents an opportunity for you to build some credit with yourself, to feel great about yourself, do something you're proud of. You're going to love it. You're going to be happy. Mm-hmm. Tony Robbins says this all the time. He says the key to sustained happiness is really progress. Mm-hmm. One of the things, no matter what area, is connection and progress.
Yeah, I think I've heard Vision talk about that as well. Like, number one habit is first you need to believe a belief, then that will lead to your own habit. But first it must come down to your own belief first.
Right. Yeah. So I think that in regards to personal responsibility, if we haven't stressed this enough, when you choose to do something and you do it, if you choose to own your life, you will begin to have more of that happiness, that joy, that autonomy, that freedom you seek. And sometimes it requires discipline. Sometimes it requires you doing something that's tough. Sometimes it requires you to face your fears. But in doing so, your capacity for more happiness, more joy, more success, more progress, more connection continues to expand. It continues to grow. You become wealthier and rich in those areas. So if you want more happiness, if that is your pursuit, chase some fulfillment, chase some meaning, take responsibility for your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys. I think that's it for today.
Nice and short.
All right, cool. Where can I find us on?
Please follow us on our social media, Shift on Your Life. And don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel and our podcast, Shift Training.
All right, guys. Thank you. We appreciate you, and we hope that you have a fantastic day. Peace.